tell y'all? You tuning into the best morning show on the globe. It's Bradham and Emery in the morning, y'all.
LeBron or Jordan, either one when I'm performing. Crossover, buzzer beater and I'm scoring. Bradham and Emery in the morning. Every play they on it. Every day I'm balling. Who's the coach? Who's the GOAT? Like Brady and Belichick, best show on the globe. And they embellish it. Y'all pin Ziffy, I'm Ken Griffey or maybe Mahomes. I stay in the zone, whether man to man or play in the zone. They can't stop me. Mayweather boxing, Curry with the shot, man. We just the best to be. Can we have our SP, please? This was meant to be. Every morning with Bradham and Emery.
Yes, sir. You know the vibes. Bradham in the morning. Marques, and Justin, Emery.
Yo.
Glad to be back here. Prince Blue doing an excellent job pinch hitting.
Welcome back.
Thank you. So I got some birthdays, if you don't mind.
By all means.
So birthday number 1, shout out to Bow Wow, who turns 34 today.
Thought you would have had something better out of the gate than that, but okay.
Okay, I'll go my other one then.
Okay.
Bow Wow's a legend in his own right. I mean, I missed. Here's the deal.
Listen, in fairness, everybody's a legend in their own right. So that's a
good point.
That was a
Bow Wow. Listen, if you talk to my queen, she's gonna not so much now, but she had her Bow Wow phase. I mean, I think every girl who was like a teenager in the 2000s loved Bow Wow.
Okay.
And Bow Wow's run with women is legendary.
Okay.
Like women Bow Wow has had. So let's go. Sierra, Keisha Cole, Erica Mena. Bow Wow has a resume, and the thousands of others we probably don't even know about. Bow Wow's done his thing, and his music wasn't for me. It was more for he's more the B2K, Omarion, Marcus Houston, immature generation. That was a little bit. I'm a little bit too old for that. So but he has run. But here's the big one. Ready for this one? Chuck Norris turns 81 today.
Oh.
Chuckle Norris.
He going to be roundhouse kicking anybody today?
God, I hope so.
It's going to be wild. So you remember back in like the early 2000s when all those Chuck Norris jokes were crazy?
Yeah.
So there was this, those guys who are just way too good with technology, like then for their own good?
Yes.
So there was this guy that I went to high school with. Mm-hmm. He actually grew up to become a software engineer, so it makes sense.
Yeah, there you
go.
But
he programmed his graphing calculator to spit out random Chuck Norris facts. So you would just be typing in a problem, and you'd hit enter, and Chuck Norris fact would come up.
Yeah. Chuck Norris made Journey stop believing.
Yes.
One of those.
Things like that.
I mean, they were hilarious. I did get a ticket.
Oh, there was some of them.
A good 6 months.
Some of them were phenomenal.
Yeah, they were. I mean, you can't go wrong with a good Chuck Norris joke.
A lot of them sucked, but a lot of them were good.
Yeah. So, couple things. Number one, I heard you guys. I was bummed out that I couldn't commiserate Biggie with you guys yesterday.
Yep.
Knowing how much Biggie. Do you know? I learned. I found out Biggie passed at church. Of all places.
Okay.
Like it was because Biggie. It happened overnight. So this is obviously the pre-Twitter social media world. This happened like 1:30, 2 in the morning when he got shot. So I didn't know. I went to church. I went to my little youth group, and like one of my friends like, "Yo, did you hear about Biggie?" I was like, "No," and he told me. I was like, "Oh, you gotta be kidding me." I thought it was kind of weird that church was placed like in the background. It's like shout to the Lord. I'm over here talking about the Notorious B.I.G. That was kind of strange.
I was 8.
Yeah, you were youngin'.
Yeah.
You didn't know what was going on.
I didn't know who Biggie was, probably.
Yeah. Your Biggie knowledge came strictly after death, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But the Tupac murder actually, for the most part, has been solved. Like allegedly it was Orlando Anderson. He was the guy that did it. It's kind of like been put to bed. But it's amazing to me that 24 years later we still have no idea who really killed Biggie. That to me is.
You heard what Prince said about it, right?
I did not hear what he said about it.
Oh. Prince said that the reason why those murders are unsolved is the people who were responsible for it were sitting next to them.
No, I don't. I'm not, if he's trying to tell me that Suge Knight was responsible for Tupac, I completely disagree. But let's start with part one of why this doesn't make any sense. If I'm putting out a hit on you per se, and I want you dead, right? and I have guys arranging to kill you, why would I ever put myself in the line of fire? Like, anything could go wrong. Like you're talking about live bullets. The bullets don't have names. So why in the world will I sit next to you while you're getting fired next to me? Why? Why would I do that? Like, that to me right there is enough for me. It's no way in the world. Because even if I'm wearing a vest, I have a head. And actually, Suge got shot in the head. He almost died. He got shot like in the back of his head. It just grazed him. Where Pac took most of them. It's no way in the world I'm sitting next to you. Like, I'm not going to be anywhere near that unless the shooter's going to be in the car and it's coming from the back seat. But if I'm trusting people to be open firing next to my car, that doesn't sound like a smart business plan to me. It sounds like I'm asking to die also, or possibly die. And what if these guys are thinking, hey, yeah, he wants us to do this, but like, he's a witness. Witnesses don't live. So I'm gonna say, yeah, sure, Suge. I'm taking you out too. There's no way in the world. Like, I can't trust a person who goes kamikaze like that. I can't trust you. Like, you give me that plan, I'm gonna be like, okay. And then you leave the room like, listen, he's got to go too. He's lost his mind.
I mean, we're talking about Suge here.
I mean, Suge is a wild man, no question. But like, I think also Suge was a smart man. I think I don't think he was an idiot. That's
I mean, that is dumb behavior.
That's stupid.
That is stupid behavior.
Like, I'm not sitting next to that. No way. It's just like I said. It's just too many things go wrong. You got a guy, and Orlando Anderson, if allegedly he's got did it. He's not a trained marksman. He got trained by Pookie down the block. He didn't get trained by like, an actual marksman. He's doing this. He's the guns moving all over the place.
Running with Big Worm.
Yeah, like, you got the car's moving. He's trying to line up a shot. Your subject is moving all over the place because he didn't want to get shot. A stray bullet could easily hit Suge, which it did, but it really more could have hit him. There's no way. And plus, like, I don't agree with that theory too. Besides that, that's my number one reason why. But the other reason why, I know Pac wanted to do other things, and he was aligning himself to do other things. Like, he wanted to start his own record label. Allegedly, Suge was going to let him do a Death Row East, and he was going to go back east and bring Death Row to East Coast and all that stuff. Now, all the stuff like Pac owed Suge money, which he probably did because, like, when Pac got out of prison, he went to the studio and started making all that stuff costs money. The studios, the video shoots, all that stuff like that. So I'm sure there was money involved. I don't believe that. I think Suge generally loved Tupac. So I don't believe that he had anything to do with it. Now, Biggie, all the alleged stuff about the same thing I feel about Puff. Like, again, why are you in the car? And Puff is not a gangster. Like, Suge's a gangster. Puff's not a gangster. That's not who he is. If he was gonna have Biggie killed, he's not gonna be anywhere near that thing for any reason. And then you had you had Biggie's best friend in the car, D-Rock, who he's known before rap. So I think that's paper thin too. I don't think either one of those camps had anything to do with that. I think Tupac, like I said, his was strictly the Orlando Anderson situation, where you see the last live video of him when they go and they stomp out him, and he's a gang member. You can't let a guy stomp you out. Pac should have never been involved in that stuff. Like, he's an art school kid. He shouldn't have been involved in that stuff either. He wasn't a gangster. Like, that's not who he was. But he got caught up in some things he shouldn't be caught up in, and he paid with his life, unfortunately. And Biggie should have never been out in California when he was. He should, like, that if I were to blame Puff for anything and blame his management for anything, it's the idea that you guys thought it was cool for him to come out to L.A. 6 months after Tupac being killed. I think that was poor planning. That should have never happened. He should have never been out there for any reason whatsoever. He shouldn't have gone out there for at least another year and a half, 2 years. So all this stuff blew over. Because he came out there, there were people who were diehard Tupac fans that believed everything Tupac said, that held Biggie responsible for the shooting back in 95 with Tupac, then thought he had something to do with the one what got him killed. And then you're going on radio stations, you're going to you're going to, the party he was at, where he gets killed afterwards, you're out there with that. You should not have been out here. You should have been out there. And, like, that's on, to me, like, I always talk about, like, when I talk about Drew Brees on Monday, you got to have good people around you. If there's another incident, you got to get good people around you. You going where? No, you're not. No, you're not going to California. You won't be seeing California for a couple of years. Like, we're not going out there because it was no reason for him to be out there. And like, you gotta be careful with that. You gotta sense the energy. And I don't think his team did a good job of knowing the energy. But stop it, Prince. Come on, man. Shook had nothing to do with that. He's not gonna be in the car. Lori. Let's get into Jeff.
We did that a little bit yesterday.
Let's get into Jeff a little bit.
Go for it.
Because I disagree a little bit with the Jeff situation, and the main reason is because what he said. If this is true, what he said about Jalen Hurts, right? And this is how he feels. He wants Jalen Hurts to be a guy supported. He wants Jalen Hurts to be the quarterback of this year. If that's what he said, is that really that bad? Like, I look at it like, people kind of jumped on him. Oh, we got Jeffrey Jones, but this is actually smart. Yeah, you should be doing that.
But it's not just this. That's the issue. The issue is that goes further back than this to the mistakes. This is what I said yesterday was everybody's wondering why Howie Roseman still has a job. Mm-hmm. You know why he has a job? It's because Howie Roseman, too, is a yes man.
Right.
Apparently they went off the board when they went with the Jalen Reagor pick. Mm-hmm. They went off the board with the Jalen Hurts pick. They went off the board with the Arcega-Whiteside pick. What happens when they go off the board? Like the quote says, when the owner wants something, the owner gets what the owner wants.
Right. I'm talking about this specific situation. I didn't think this was that bad. I can't argue with that stuff, but if you really want to go back to do a little deep dive on this, is what I've always said, is that the same people who are criticizing Jeffrey Lurie for now being this person are the same people that wanted Andy Reid gone in 2012. Not saying that he didn't deserve to be gone at the time, but this is how we got here. This is this Jeffrey Lurie we're seeing here in this past 9 years. This has not been Jeffrey Lurie since 1995. Jeffrey Lurie, 95 to 2012, kept his mouth shut. You only saw him at the end of the year press conference. You saw him in the press box clapping his hands. That's all you heard from him because he trusted Andy Reid to handle football decisions.
Yeah, but whose fault is it that he doesn't trust the people in charge? Whose fault is it that he doesn't trust?
The Chip Kelly thing had hurt him.
But I'm saying, whose fault is it that he doesn't trust the front office people? It's his own fault. So if you don't trust the front office people, hire somebody new.
No, here's the thing. Here's the thing about Jeff Lurie, though, is that that's a simple, rational thought for simple, rational people. But this is a guy who is emotional about the Andy Reid situation. Like I don't believe Jeffrey Lurie wanted to fire Andy Reid. I don't even know why he really did in the first place, because if he would have stuck to some of this stuff he's doing now, he would have said, well, you know what? I believe in Andy. Andy's going to stay here. He's going to figure it out. So it's weird that he fired in the first place. I believe he fell victim to public pressure to fire Andy Reid because the fan base was starting to turn on him. It was starting to be whispers about the locker room, which I don't think Andy Reid ever lost the locker room. And I think it's evidence in the last game they played where they said, yeah, we're going to win. They just had a bad year. They said, hey, we're going to win this for Andy.
They had a bad team.
They had a bad year. They had a bad team. They needed a reset. And, Andy could have been that guy to reset it. Like, if I was to trust anybody to build a program.
But Andy Reid, Kansas City Andy Reid is not the same as Philadelphia Andy Reid. They don't look the same. Like the Kansas City team.
Yeah, he evolved though. But he should have. But the thing is though, he should have had the opportunity.
But you're banking on the fact that then he would evolve that here, and you don't know.
You're right, you don't. But I think
having Mahomes and Hill and Kelsey helps.
I agree.
You might.
Well, could you draft Mahomes here? Could Mahomes have been drafted here?
You already had Wentz at that point, though.
Yeah, but that probably wouldn't have happened.
But
if Andy Reid stays here, who knows if he drafts Wentz? We don't know. I mean, listen, that's fantasy warfare. We don't need to go down that with Mahomes. My point is, based on Andy Reid's resume of everything he did up to that point, like this is a guy that went to 5 NFC Championship games, 1 Super Bowl, 1 division, countless numbers of times, like got you the most out of that group of players. that he could get. Got everything out of him besides a Super Bowl win. Even 2010, he's in position to do it again. It just didn't work out. Then you have the subpar 11, subpar 12. Why did he not deserve to be here in 13 if you're Jeff Lurie? Like, if you're Jeff Lurie, why are you firing him based on what these knuckleheads are saying out here?
Because there were other things were starting to get extremely suspect. You were putting your offensive line coach as your defensive coordinator.
That was a bad move. Juan Castillo as defense coordinator is not a good move. I agree, but like I'm just saying, if I'm Jeff, because here's the thing. So he fires Andy Reid. He hires Chip Kelly. He wants to have the same relationship with Chip Kelly that he had with Andy Reid. That's what he's looking for. He wants that. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to be a part of it. He wants to go be able to do what he's doing.
He wants to go make B and C grade movies.
Exactly. Go make those movies. Come back to watch the home games. Do the press conference in the year. Keep it moving. That's the role he wants. So he lets Chip Kelly do his thing. And what the thing that I think that hurt Jeff Lurie the most is Chip Kelly not only is not making great football decisions, he's an asshole. So, you know, as silly as it is, the Christmas party thing. That was like Andy
yeah, that
Reid,
drives me crazy.
Andy Reid is a solid dude. Everybody loved everyone. Actually, it's funny because we saw Andy very differently than his players and other people saw him. He was not this stoic, unfeeling, uncaring, unfun guy. Apparently, Andy Reid was the most fun guy. Like he was a good time. He was fun around. He was always cracking jokes. So you can see a development over, 13 years how close Lurie and him probably got. And Andy stopped by the office. Hey Jeff, do you hear the one about the girl in the bar? Cracking the jokes, they're laughing, talking about their weekend. That's not who Chip Kelly was. Chip Kelly ain't coming to the office talking about the weekend. He's not cracking jokes with you. He's keeping it moving. Got the visor. I gotta go. So Jeffrey Lurie over those couple years realized that's the type of relationship he wants. That's why Doug Peterson comes here. But at the same time now, he's jaded because of all the things with Chip. That's why we're here.
I said yesterday he's playing rich people Madden. He's playing rich people Madden.
Absolutely, because he knows what he's talking about.
He has no clue.
He's not a football guy.
No,
but the thing is, what makes it even worse, neither one of them are football guys.
Yes.
For different reasons. But Jeff is not. Jeff didn't I listened to your point you made about Jerry Jones. Was an excellent point.
Yeah.
When you said Jerry Jones, people talk about him all the time, but he actually has a pedigree.
He played high level college football.
He's a pedigree, and that's why he's so. And the thing is with him, he's made some bonehead decisions. He's all, but he has people around him, like Stephen Jones, with the Zach Martin pick. That was supposed to be Manziel, right? Was that the Manziel year? I know he won at Manziel. I think Zach Martin was that year.
I think you're right.
I think it was that year. But I know he won.
I believe you're right.
I'll just put it this way, just to be safe. I know he won at Manziel.
And he won at Manziel.
And Stephen Jones was like, absolutely not. We're taking a lineman. I'm pretty sure it was Zach Martin, but I could be wrong. Anyway, he has people around him. Like I always talk about having a circle. But listen, say what you want about the Cowboys. Say what you want. They draft pretty well. Their drafting isn't the problem. It's not the draft is the issue.
No, it's the coaching.
It's the coach. Yeah, it's everything else is the issue. But their drafts are you go through their
it's
drafts.
The coaching.
I would take their drafts
coaching
over our drafts any day of the week the past 10 years.
They have a better roster.
Yeah, way better roster.
But they have had bad coaching.
Yeah.
For what, 23, 25, whenever?
Yeah, Jimmy Johnson left.
Yeah, whenever that was.
I mean, they got lucky with Barry Switzer just because of the fact they still have a great roster. But then you go to 2000, you got the Dave Zambranos, and I mean, Bill Parcells is Bill Parcells. He did a good job.
But he was
he was on his way out. But then you go after that, you go to Jason Garrett for almost 10 years, and that's really been their issue. But their drafting has not been a problem. That's our problem. We have a drafting problem, and we have a drafting problem because we don't have football guys.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just feel that when it comes to Lurie, the Hurts thing, I agree. Like here's my thing. I brought this up last week or the week before about Zach Wilson. He's the only quarterback that I would want to draft because we're not going to get Trevor Lawrence. It's not happening. And I'm not that. Justin Fields doesn't impress me that as much. Neither does Mac Jones. and you have to be an idiot to take Trevor Lawrence. Like North Dakota State is canceled forever. We're not getting anyone else out of there. Can't do it. Sorry. So even though that'd be very on brand for the Eagles to draft another North Dakota State quarterback, but Zach Wilson's probably not going to be there. According to all reports, he's probably going to be gone for the Eagles to have a chance to get him. So if you don't have a chance to get that guy that could be a generational type talent, then what is the point of drafting a quarterback? Mac Jones, even though he's getting comparisons to Brady, that's absurd. He hasn't took a snap in the NFL yet. You can't do that. And you got Justin Fields, who there's a lot of questions about him.
I'm not taking a quarterback at 6 because I don't. If you're not getting Trevor Lawrence,
yeah,
it's not worth it.
I think Zach Wilson is. I think I would take Zach Wilson, but that's fine. Because the thing is, I'm glad they made a decision to go with Hurts. Give him a shot.
If you were sitting there at 6,
yeah.
Okay, I'll pull up the projections real quick. So let me pull up the projections and see what do they call mock drafts? There we go. Mm-hmm. Mock. Because we're deep in mock draft season. We are deep in mock draft season. So let's see. Maurice Jones-Drew. You want to check out his mock draft? Came out yesterday.
Sure.
Okay. So we'll roll with him first. He has obviously number 1, Trevor Lawrence.
T. Lawrence.
Going to Jacksonville.
Yes.
Number 2, Justin Fields going to New York Jets.
Huh. Okay.
Number 3, the Miami Dolphins take Jamar Chase.
Okay.
Atlanta Falcons taking Zach Wilson.
At 4, okay.
At 4.
Makes sense. Successor to Matt Ryan.
Number 5.
Even though I don't like that for his career, but
for whose
Atlanta's
career?
A wasteland.
What the?
Atlanta's a wasteland. Yeah. I don't like that for his career, but I understand why Atlanta would do that.
Yeah. Number 5, Sewell, the offensive tackle out of Oregon.
Did I guess the Eagles?
Go for it.
Kyle Pitts?
Nope.
Okay. Who we got?
Want to take another guess?
The other wide receiver.
Nope.
What? Who?
Got my guy.
Really?
Micah Parsons at number 6.
Huh.
His reasoning behind it is as the ever-changing NFL now demands fast-running linebackers. The Eagles need to nab a prospect who can become an immediate impact player in the middle of the defense and who happens to play in their own backyard. You want to hear he had his pro day. You want to hear it?
I do.
Let me pull it up.
Listen. You got me, Micah Parsons, and that. I mean, you can't go wrong drafting a middle linebacker that could be there for 10 years and be a game-changing linebacker. However, I think if you're looking to help Jalen Hurts, Kyle Pitts is your guy. I think you put Kyle Pitts on the other side of Dallas Goedert. You can line him up anywhere. He's a game-changing type tight end because Jalen Hurts is going to be a guy he's going to rely heavily, I think, on the middle of the field. He's going to be throwing the ball out of the middle of the field.
I can agree with that.
So Pitts makes the most sense if you're trying to help Jalen Hurts be the best version of himself. Because then you got Goddard and Pitts in the middle. You're going to trade Hurts. He's out of here. And then you hope for the best with your outside guys. You hope that Rieger can give you more. Rieger. Is it Rieger or Rieger?
Jalen Rieger.
Rieger, okay. So Rieger can give you more. I don't know.
Okay, so here we go. Micah Parsons. Oof. Ooh. What do you think his 40 time is?
4.5.
Oh, no.
4.8.
No.
4.3.
Keep going down.
4.2.
Ran a 4.41, 4.44, 4.38 as his 3 splits. And he says, wait until just before the combine, I'm running 4.3 flat. Time to shock the world.
4.3 linebacker?
That's what he's saying.
That's disgusting.
And he's weighing in at 6'4", 240.
I like it.
It's what you need in the middle of your defense.
You do.
Tell me you don't need that.
I listen. After watching White patrol the middle for Tampa Bay, I have lustful eyes.
When we go to the break, I'll pull up some. Let me pull up some highlights real quick to show you during the break.
Okay. All right.
So, but yeah, any other Lori, thoughts? I got all
No,
mine.
I
don't
mean,
really have
I
much.
mean that's kind of like I kind of
We'll
want
be
to
doing draft and
yeah,
a
and
couple
I kind of want to
free agency next week.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of want to just let people my thoughts on that and give why. I think people, not you obviously, but I think a lot of people don't understand why he is the way he is today. This is not who he's always been. Like if you just got started following football in the 2010s, you might think Jeffrey Lurie has been this person the entire time he's been an owner. It's just not the case. He's been the money and the guy you don't hear from. He was like that guy. He was that guy for 17 years. Even when Ray Rhodes, his first coaching hire was Ray Rhodes, and he didn't really hear much from him then either. Like he was just the owner. Like he let Ray Rhodes kind of do his thing, and it worked. And then he brought when Ray Rhodes kind of fizzled out, he brings in Andy, and allows Andy to do his thing too. He always allowed Andy to hire his own coaches. He always allowed Andy to pick his own players and the banner. He stayed out of his way. He was quiet. This all really started in the past couple years, and it's his feelings being hurt from the Kelly regime. But we're gonna move on. We're gonna take a break. When we come back, I've been waiting to do this probably about 5 years.
Yo, I can't wait. This is gonna take the majority of the rest of the show.
Yeah, because I mean, when it comes to the Sixers, where we are now is a great place. But we have to honor where we were and how we got here and why we're here and how important it was to do what they did. Brad Mamie in the morning, Marques, Brad, Justin, Emery, right back. Hi, I'd like to talk to you guys today about my friends at Uncle Mike's Homemade Ice Cream. USA Today selected Uncle Mike's Homemade Ice Cream as the best ice cream parlor in Pennsylvania. Uncle Mike's is a family-owned and dedicated to the production of premium quality and gourmet ice cream and sorbet, made fresh daily on the premises using the highest quality ingredients available. Uncle Mike's features over 30 unique delicious flavors offered in scoops, sundaes, shakes, and special order ice cream cakes and pies. Uncle Mike's Homemade Ice Cream is located at 537 York Road in Warminster and is open all year round. Visit Uncle Mike's and let their friendly staff serve you happiness one scoop at a time.
Hey everybody, I want to tell you about Beef Jerky Outlet. 110 Lincoln Highway in Langhorne, right at the corner of Business Route 1 and Oxford Valley Road. Check them out online at beefjerkyoutlet.com/Langhorne. Use promo code BREMI for 10% off your orders. You can check out, they have all sorts of them. Everything you could think of beef jerky, they have. They have a ton of other stuff too. Spices, barbecue sauces, peanuts, all different kind of things. My personal favorite, the honey barbecue turkey jerky. Head up there. Sharon and Michael will take great care of you. Again, use promo code BREMI for 10% off your order at beefjerkyoutlet.com/Langhorne.
Hi, I'd like to talk to you guys about my friends at Amy's Pizza. Amy has a plethora of pizzas for your munching pleasure, especially pizzas such as Hawaiian, margarita, and taco. Taco actually being my personal favorite. And also plenty more. If it's sandwiches you desire, they've got those too. Cheesesteaks, burgers, hoagies, even gyros. Amy's offers pickup and takeout options. Also, they're available on Grubhub. Amy's located at 332 York Road in the heart of Hatboro. You can call them today at 215-957-1000. Again, that's 215-957-1000. Yeah, man. Welcome back. Brad Emery Morning. Marques, Brad, Justin Emery.
I think I convinced you.
Yeah, those highlights were damning, to say the least. I mean, there was a couple plays that were absolutely terrifying. Like, his pursuit speed is just insane. I mean, to be a great middle linebacker, I was saying, like, you got to have great anticipation, and he has that in spades. So, but I want to shift gears.
Yes.
Because
it's time.
So you look at the Sixers, right, and like where they are right now, and you look at the blessing of riches they have. You know, you got Ben and Joe as your stars. You got the drafting of Maxey and Thibault, and the abundance of picks they've turned into something, and you're sitting first in the East. But why are we here? How did we get here?
I mean, it all goes back to one person. It goes back to Sam Hinkie.
And
now
this shouldn't be a controversial topic. But it is.
Let me real quick just say something. There is a difference between being a blind Hinkie supporter and understanding the process.
Yes.
Those two things do not have to be like one and the same. Like, they can be exclusive.
Yes.
And for some reason, there's a lot of people out there, usually the older school people, the people with the louder voices, that they may not be in tune with the way that the pulse needs to be to build a team right now.
Yeah, I just think a lot of people who just don't understand the NBA and the way it works and how difficult it is to become a good team. Like, the NBA is not like the other sports. It's not like the NFL. You can't be 8-8 and all of a sudden be a Super Bowl contender the next year based off your draft and free agency. You can't. It doesn't work that way. You just can't do that. And if we're going to talk about this, we need to go deep into it. So I want to go.
I'm prepped.
I want to go all the way back to 1996.
Okay, I was not prepped to go that far back.
I want to allow me to play along with me, if you will.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to 96 because I want to explain how we get to 2012 and how this decision why this decision needs to be made. Go back to 96, one of the most historic drafts of all time. It's the Iverson draft with Ray Allen, Kobe Bryant's in that draft, Laker Kobe Bryant. It's an historic draft.
If you don't know what it is, just look it up. Like, the names that came out in that draft.
Huge draft.
Is that Marbury, I think, too?
Marbury's in that draft. It's one of the drafts you see with 84. 84 and 96 are ones usually talked about the most that you hear. So it was a huge draft. You get Allen Iverson. The problem with drafting Allen Iverson is Allen Iverson was a guy who was ahead of his time in a league that was not ready for Allen Iverson. Allen Iverson today would average 50 points a game, no question, doing whatever he wants. Back then, the NBA was not positionless. The NBA still had positions. So Iverson was a guy that was a hybrid. He could bring the ball up, but he wasn't really a point guard. Took the Sixers a couple years to figure that out. So probably you bring in Larry Brown, and Larry Brown has the aha moment of, hey, you know what? This guy's not a point guard. Let's move him to 2. Let's move him to 2 guard, and let's surround him with a bunch of guys that play really good on-the-ball defense. Iverson was not a great on-the-ball defense. He was a guy who could get you steals, but he took a lot of risks to do that. So you needed guys that could rotate. So the Sixers, in a lot of ways, was ahead of the time in the guys like the Eric Snows, the George Lynches, the Tyrone Hills, the guys that were kind of positionless. Yeah, they had power forward, small forward, stuff like that, but they can guard almost anybody. Okay, so all of this leads to 2001, the apex, right? Allen Iverson is the MVP of the All-Star Game, MVP of the league. Larry Brown is Coach of the Year. Larry Brown coaches the All-Star Game. The Kevin McCumbo, I believe, is Defensive Player of the Year.
Yep.
Aaron McKee, 6-man.
Yep.
Everything is there. Okay. This is a hill I'm prepared to die on. Like, I say this real quick because I'm prepared to die on this hill. If the Sixers are healthy, if the Sixers go in that series against the Lakers healthy, I believe they beat the Lakers. If you don't believe me, all you need to do is fast forward to 2004 when Larry Brown takes a similar, identical team in the 04 Pistons who didn't have a star, who didn't have Allen Iverson, and they beat a better Lakers team to win a championship. If that team is healthy, they win. You had George Lynch with a broken foot. You had you had Eric Snow with a broken ankle. You had Aaron McKee with a sprained shoulder. You had Allen Iverson with every body part hurt. He actually missed a couple playoff games because of his hip. If this team is healthy, they really had nothing left. When they got after Game 3, they had nothing left. They were done. And the reason they were done was because of the injuries. Now, here's where we start to get into murky waters. This is what the NBA does. The NBA is a league that is okay with you staying and flourishing in mediocrity. And what ends up happening is you go to the finals in 01, you go to the finals in 01, and you turn the page to 02, and these pieces are still kind of there. They're not bad yet. You don't go from great to bad, but you're going to take a step back. But the Sixers didn't have money to go out and retool because the NBA makes it nearly impossible with luxury taxes and salary cap for you to go out and buy and get players. And if you get in bad contracts in the NBA, it's nearly impossible to get out of them. You had Matt Geiger, who's locked into a terrible contract. Go ahead.
I was just pulling up AI stats, and I have to make a correction to you.
AI stats for what?
The career stats. Just skimming through, just looking. Just
okay.
Reading it as you're talking.
Okay.
You said he's not necessarily a great defender.
On-ball defender.
3-time steals leader.
Yes, that's my point. He was a risk. He would take risk. He would get a lot of steals. But just because you get steals doesn't make you a good defender. He was not a good on-ball defender. He took a lot of risks that sometimes paid off, but a lot of times did not pay off and put his guys in precarious positions.
What? I mean, understand it's college, not the pros. 2-time Big East Defensive Player of the Year.
I don't know how that happened. In the NBA, I can't listen. That's I didn't know that, but I stand by
understand
the
it's college, not
yeah.
pros,
I stand by the fact he is not a great on-ball defender. Anyway, so
I was just
yeah. So you get into so you have Matt Geiger on a bad contract. You have Aaron McKee, who you signed long term, who you probably shouldn't have done that too. Also, so now these contracts start to catch up to you, and then you're starting to add guys like Matt Harpring and Kenny Thomas and Keith Van Horn, and you're just compiling because you're trying to basically at this point now you're trying to paste and say, okay, we got close this year. Maybe if we put this in here, maybe this will work. Or maybe we put Derek Coleman over here, this will work. Let's bring him back for the third time. So now we're in 2005, 2006. I believe personally the Sixers waited probably 2 or 3 years to trade Allen Iverson. They probably should have traded him after the 02, 03. After when Larry Brown left, that's when Allen Iverson should have been out of here. The year the Sixers lost to Detroit, when the last really good Sixers team, they lost to Detroit in the second round of the playoffs. That's the year Iverson should have been gone. They should have won that series also. If you remember out there, they lost both games in Detroit. One because Iverson missed a free throw at the end. Another they lost on the last second shot by Chucky Atkins, I think it was. And they should have won both of those games. They end up losing both. They come home. I think they win both. They end up losing Game 5, and then they end up losing Game 6 at home. Larry Brown leaves. That should have been the end of this era. You should have been looking to trade out Iverson then there, but you don't do that. What you do again is you're trying to cut and paste. You're trying to keep
03.
Yeah, there you go. You're trying to cut and paste. You're trying to put things together, and then now we're at a point now where things are starting to get testy. Now the last great gasp is you bring in Chris Webber.
05.
Chris Webber is, at this point, his knees are done. And he is not the Chris Webber from 5 years ago, the Sacramento Kings Chris Webber. You're getting a guy who's basically a jump shooter at this point. Like, he's a pick-and-pop guy. That's it. He's not going to do much more than that. Maybe he'll give you a little jump hook, but his explosiveness is gone. He's just not the same guy he was in Sacramento. He's just not. So you have now, Iverson's unhappy because the Webber thing's not working out. So now you're looking to move him. You move him. Now here we go again. This should have been the start of the process here. Now we're like, okay, our major superstar is gone. Let's start rebuilding now. But they don't do that because what do? You draft Andre Iguodala, and I think it was 05. Iguodala comes in. You get Kyle Korver on the team around the same time. Thaddeus Young joins the team. So now it's like you got a bunch of guys who are NBA players. They're above average NBA players, but you have no superstars. So you have a bunch of guys that are going to get you 6, 7, 8 seed each year. That's about it. You don't really have anything after that. So that's pretty much what the Sixers are. From 2006 to around 2011, you're 6, 7, 8 seed. You're getting knocked out by the really good teams. You're getting knocked out by the Pistons, teams of that nature. You're getting knocked out by consistent basis. Get to 2011. Drew Holiday's on the team by this point. You have Evan Turner. You drafted him, which is a miss. You had a high draft pick. You got the second pick in the draft, and you take Evan Turner instead of DeMarcus Cousins, which was a major, major deal.
Yeah.
And Evan Turner turned out to really burn you because he really is. Evan Turner has turned out to have an okay NBA career.
Not number 2 overall.
Not even close. So
that's what it was, number 2 overall?
Number two. Yep. So you have Evan Turner now, and now you bring in Doug Collins, who's a win-now coach. He's not a guy that wants to be a part of any sort of losing situation. Get to the playoffs at the 8th seed, okay? No shot in the world you're going to win the series. It's not going to happen, right? Game 1, whatever everyone thinks going to happen. The Sixers are getting blown out. Final minutes of Game 1, Derrick Rose comes down and tears ACL. Changes the course of his career. Changes the course of I believe of like the league. And changes the course of the Bulls, and because that was a team that was supposed to challenge that Miami Heat team for who's going to go to the finals. Derrick Rose tears the ACL, he's out for the series. Changes the entire complexion of the series, and then not only that, Joakim Noah, I think a lot of people forget, who was playing really well, really good basketball, had a lot of really good years for them. He gets hurt too. Taj Gibson, who was a contributor to that team, he gets hurt too. Noah ends up playing a little bit, but he's playing like one leg. He hurt his ankle really bad. Taj Gibson kind of playing. Long story short, Sixers end up winning that series. Then they play against a Boston's team that Boston was on his last legs. This wasn't the Boston team that won the championship in 2008. This was a team that was kind of in the last stand. Garnett was a little bit older. Pierce was still playing pretty well. Ray Allen wasn't the same guy. He was a shooter, but Ray Allen at that point, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think this is actually Ray Allen's last year on the Celtics, because he knew his role could never. He wasn't a part of the big three anymore. He couldn't do that anymore. He needed to be a guy that was a come off the bench guy, get you 10 to 12. That's who he had become. He wasn't a star anymore. Sixers ended up taking his team to 7 games. Take the Celtics 7 games. The Celtics weren't really that great. That's why they won 7 games. Celtics didn't win the series, but it gives the Sixers this false sense of, well, are we really closer than we think we are? Could we really make a run?
That was such a false.
Yeah. I mean, if you're being logical about it, listen, I was excited, but why was I excited? Because in my lifetime, I started following the NBA Sixers probably late 80s, 88, 89, like Barkley prime years, where I started really in the Sixers. I've only seen maybe 2 or 3 years up until this run now of really good basketball. This run right now is my great. Like, this is the most of Sixers winning basketball I've ever seen in a row. I've never seen this be like, okay, we have a shot to go to the finals every year here. I've never had that in my lifetime. I had 89-90 won the division. Then I had 2001. Then 2012. That's basically been it. So I was excited because, like, I'm getting May basketball. Who doesn't want May basketball? I want May basketball.
I love May basketball.
I love June basketball more. Yeah. So we're going in the direction, and then it's like so do we have a shot to? So what do you do? What do you do? You go out and you make a trade, and Andrew Bynum is the single biggest reason why we're here today. We gotta now, in hindsight, we need to thank Andrew Bynum. Because if Andrew Bynum...
New Hope Zone.
Yeah, if we need to thank Andrew Bynum. Now, Andrew Bynum, that's where this all starts.
Yeah.
And he come. You don't get. I mean, if you know basketball, you know the Sixers. You know the story. You don't get anything out of him. Doesn't suit up for you.
Never once.
And the team.
Not a single game.
I was at the opener, the year of Bynum. I was at the opener. I had my Bynum shirt on, standing there tall, standing proud. The Fargo Center's going nuts. Bynum comes out to a huge ovation. That was also Iguodala. They played the Nuggets that day. It was Iguodala. It was Iguodala basketball, so he was getting booed. We had Spencer Hall's chants. It was a glorious night at the Wells Fargo Center. Everyone said the Sixers was a contender, and it was not to be.
Not even close.
So at the end of the year, Doug Collins quits, and now what do we do? I have just went from 96 to 2012. I gave you 16 years of why we're here, right? So here we are. What do we do now? Nothing we're doing is working. What's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results?
16 years of that, of doing the same things over and over again. Something needs to be different. Enter Sam Hinkie, enter your notes.
So year 1, 2013. Trade Drew Holiday for Nerlens Noel and a top 5 protected draft pick. You draft Michael Carter-Williams.
Which was, in the Drew Holiday situation, Drew Holiday is a really good NBA player.
He was a good NBA player.
And he was a guy that had to go because we can't stay in his mediocrity. He's not good enough to be a superstar. He's really, really good, and he's a great piece on a championship team, but you're not a championship team.
Yep. MCW wins Rookie of the Year that year.
This is where it gets really controversial.
So they also move Evan Turner, Spencer Hawes, and Lavoy Allen.
For Temple's own.
For 5 second-round picks. In different, various trades. Acquire 5 second-round picks.
Yeah.
And they move Thaddeus Young.
Thad.
For Miami, top 10 protected.
Love me some Thad.
So there is year 1 of the process. It is a new day.
Yeah.
It's a new dawn. You know that you are going to be having an uphill battle.
Yes.
Talk about turning a roster over. Mm-hmm. Holiday, Turner, Halls, Allen, Young, see ya.
Yeah. Yeah, you literally, that team that took the Celtics to 7, you literally got rid of everyone there.
Yes.
They're all gone.
Enter year 2, 2014.
Mm-hmm.
You draft the big man. Embiid is brought in.
Joel Hans Embiid.
In that
2014, jeez.
In that draft, you also acquired via trade Saric and Grant.
And let's talk about Jeremy Grant for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Because, Jeremy Grant, you end up trading him for a piece, but he's turned himself into a really good NBA player.
Yeah, granted, it took 7 years, but yes.
Yeah. I mean, his coming out party was last year with the Nuggets.
6 years.
Yeah, right. But, he's turned himself to a really, really good NBA player.
Yeah. They also signed Robert Covington as a free agent, who was dominating the then, at the time, D-League.
Yeah. Tennessee State.
Yes.
Robert Covington.
I'll take your word for it. Don't know where he went to college.
HBCU school. Historically black college.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, where did he go again?
Tennessee State.
Tennessee State.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that where I believe Eric Berry went there? Safety from the Chiefs.
I'll take your word for it.
Pretty sure he did.
Okay.
Oh no, actually no. I think he went to Tennessee.
Okay.
Actually, never mind. I think he's a Vol.
Okay.
Trades Michael Carter-Williams, as I mentioned,
Which
off of Rookie of the Year campaign.
Yeah. Do you remember the freak out people had over that?
Yes.
And the point is that listen, he's good, but he's not good enough. He's just not good enough, and we're not good enough. So if we're not good enough, let's get more assets. Let's get better assets.
Got to bring him up.
And let's look at all the people that are crying about Michael Carter-Williams being traded. What is he doing now? He's a backup cornerback, backup point guard for Orlando.
Yeah, he plays for the Magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in a wasteland. Like he's done basically nothing.
He's on paid retirement right now.
Yeah.
He's on paid retirement.
Yeah, exactly.
You also acquired the Lakers and Thunder's 2015 first rounders and acquired a second round pick. So you're stacking the assets.
Stacking it.
Letting the treasure chest get bigger.
Yep.
Year 3, 2015. Swing and a miss on this one. You draft Okafor.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're all gonna be trophies.
Yeah, you're not gonna hit on everything.
And listen, the Okafor pick wasn't a bad pick. It just didn't work out.
Yeah.
And like you realize the main part is like when Embiid gets healthy, he can't play with Embiid. It doesn't make sense. And Jahlil Okafor, what I've always said about him is Jahlil Okafor is a guy that would have done really well in the 90s.
Oh yeah.
His game was not made for today.
No. He a lot of people said that coming out, that had he been drafted a decade before, he'd be a perennial all-star.
Yeah, he'd be a 2010 guy. But we don't do back to the basket. That's not. I mean, Embiid's just so talented. He can do whatever he wants.
Yes.
Okafor is not. Okafor's more plotting, slower. You know, he's not that level of Embiid where Embiid's like, listen, I could play in any era. Doesn't matter. I'm just Joel. So yeah, it was a miss.
Now the two people that went ahead of him, I'm sorry, the people that went after him, directly after him was the Unicorn. After Okafor.
Right, and that's revisionist history for people because like you can't if people would have burned the Wells Fargo Center down, they took Kristaps Porzingis in that pick.
You couldn't have taken him. I mean, you could have, but it's, the guy who they really missed out on that draft. Devin Booker. 13th pick.
I mean, you can't go wrong with Kentucky.
No.
You just can't.
Also, just a couple other names from that draft. Miles Turner.
Okay.
Kelly Oubre.
Okay.
There was somebody where was Terry Rozier, that was it.
Scary Terry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Emmanuel Mudiay. There was a couple guys that were just drafted after Okafor.
Yeah.
So 2015, you swung a little bit, missed on your pick, but traded 2 second-round picks for 2019, and you did the infamous pick swap with the Sacramento Kings for the 16th and 7th, the right to swap the 16th and 17th pick, which, little look into the crystal ball that we'll get 2 years down the line, that pick swap led to Markelle Fultz. So let me just backtrack a little bit, a year to year 4, 2016. Now, this is the first draft post-Hinkie.
Okay.
But you still have all of his assets.
Yeah.
You have all of his assets. So that's why I attribute these next 2 years to the process.
Right.
Pre-show, we were talking about how long we consider the process. I consider the process 5 years. You considered it 6 years.
Yeah.
You considered it one more year than I did.
Yeah.
But this is year 4.
Okay.
Like I said, post-Hinkie, drafts Simmons. Case, I mean.
Yeah, we say anything else? Yeah.
Also drafted TLC that year.
Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot.
Well, I believe he's a net now.
Yep.
Yes. And also drafted your guy, Furkan Korkmaz. Yeah, came away with that draft.
Anyway.
Now, Hinkie has come out before and said that he doesn't know if he would have drafted Simmons because Simmons, coming out of college, analytically was not very strong of a prospect. The numbers did not dictate his game would be very transitionable to the NBA. But when you looked at him, he was the only player in that draft.
He was a clear number 1.
Yes. So I'll assume that Hinkie would have drafted him number 1.
I think you'd have had pressure to draft him number 1.
Yes.
I think there's no way in the world they would have been able to let him go number 1.
Now, hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
Year 5, 2017. This is
the Sixers' first playoff year.
Yes.
Simmons' first time on the court.
Yes.
After
And
injury.
this is also just before Twittergate. Okay. Drafts Markelle Fultz.
Mm-hmm.
But trades that 2019 first-round pick that they acquired back in the Okafor draft in order to move up to get Markelle Fultz. That was the beginning of the depletion of the assets that you did not get a return on investment for. And that was like you said, that was the first year they made the playoffs.
Yeah.
The process was always to build a team to be a perennial contender.
Mm-hmm.
The process was not to suck forever.
Yes.
It was to build up to a point in time that then you would be able to use that treasure chest of assets that you had to prolong your window.
Yeah.
So create the window through the draft and then use your accumulated assets that you're now let's be honest, any pick after, we've said it before, any pick after 15, 16, 17 in the NBA draft is a roll of the dice.
Yeah.
It's really only the top.
Unless you're the Sixers.
Yes.
I mean, Sixers late draft round, their drafts have been, and they've turned those into other assets.
Having the accumulation of picks.
Yeah.
If I give you 5 chances out of 30 to do something, you're more likely to hit it than if I gave you 1 or 2 chances.
Right.
The accumulation of assets.
Right.
That's what the process was about. Trust the process was about accumulating assets, building through the draft with high draft picks of your own, and then using those assets to prolong your window for a championship.
And here's why I don't understand about the people that don't understand.
It's a very simple concept.
I don't understand how you don't understand.
It's an extremely simple concept.
If you listen to everything you said here, how you broke down the years of the process, and then go back to what I said about how we got here, what now can you say is why this wasn't a good idea? Like, did you understand? Like,
were you cool with first and second round?
No,
5-game losses?
And like that's what it was. Like it was so frustrating to know that we're gonna make the playoffs, but we literally have no shot.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Like we're gonna be
doesn't matter.
7-8 seed, and we're gonna play the Miami Heat in the first round of the playoffs and lose.
We're
gonna play the Celtics. We're gonna play the Pistons.
Every year.
We have no shot at doing
chance.
anything, and
Smoked.
this is just what it's gonna be for
year
eternity.
in and year out.
For eternity.
Yep.
There was no way to do anything else, and like what Sam Hinkie did is said, listen. This needs to be. It's like when you're building a company. Like when you build a company, you don't build your company and say I'm going to be a billionaire out the gate in year one. Like what do most companies do? Most companies don't make money for the first couple of years. They're even in business.
I think a big part of the reason that people have a problem with it is that they were open and vocal about it. Like we're going to be revolution. I cannot wait for the 30 for 30 on the process.
Oh my gosh.
I cannot wait.
It's going to be incredible.
For the 30 for 30.
You're going to get that. They have to win a championship with this regime to get that. But I think you need a championship because
I think that I don't think they need to win one, but if they can get to they can get to 2 in Embiid's career.
Yeah.
They can get to 2.
Yeah.
They'll get it.
Yeah. But it's because
especially if say Embiid becomes a potential Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
I don't think he'll be there for longevity.
Yeah,
but just pure dominance, I think he has the potential to get in.
Yeah,
Simmons, we've said it before. If he does this for the next decade, he'll be a Hall of Famer.
Right,
first ballot.
I think one thing we haven't discussed and why it's the NBA's hatred towards the Sixers because of this, and the reason why they hate Sixers because of this, is because Sixers beat the system.
Yes,
they beat the system. You set up a system for only the elite to prosper.
Wait, this is essentially what the Oakland A's did with Moneyball.
Moneyball, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They said, okay, we have to figure out how to operate within the rules that we are given. But
and not having any money.
Let's make our own rules.
Right.
That kind of sums up my thoughts on the process. And I would do it again.
Oh my! Are you kidding me?
I would do it again.
No question.
Like I think
When this is over, and
now
this
it doesn't work for every sport. This does not work for every sport.
Because it's easier to be successful in those sports. It's not in the NBA. So like when this is over and this run is over, let's process again.
Yes, process again.
Like I will do this for because like yeah, it should
just be a cycle. This should be the
tough,
cycle.
But I knew like this wasn't about.
Think of it.
Like
you have 2 perennial all-stars.
Yeah.
Every year now.
Here's how you have to think about the process. This is how I thought about it, at least. It was never about on the court during the process years. It was about what happens off the court.
Yes.
It was about what are we doing July through September, not about what was happening November through April.
Player development, scouting.
And look at all the players that were developed look at all the players that were not NBA players that became NBA players.
So I know the Sixers really wanted to build a big 3 through the draft.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted Fultz to be that third guy.
Yes.
Are Embiid and Simmons the only 2 true products of the process?
No.
So who else would be?
Because that are here now? Are you saying they're here now or just out there?
I meant specifically here now because
I need you to elaborate a little more on what you mean by that.
Well, like if you're not here, how are you still part of the process?
I still consider guys who played. Like,
no, but I'm saying if 20 years from now and you're looking back at the process years,
mm-hmm.
how do you define the process players? Obviously Embiid, obviously Simmons.
I think Embiid and Simmons are like the biggest success story of the process. But I would count Covington in there. I would count Sarge in there. I would count Fultz in there. It didn't work, but he's part of the process. I would count guys like Landry Shamet because a guy like that got you Tobias Harris. You get Jimmy Butler because of Covington and Sarge. You know, like I count like all of these are pieces and important parts of the success. So while they're not on a team anymore, I think those are process guys. Like when I'm watching the 30-30, who's talking? Who do I want to hear from? I want to hear from Robert Covington. I want to hear from Dario Saric. I want to hear from Markelle Fultz. I want to hear from Ben. I want to hear from Joe. Sam Hinkie. Josh Harris. I want to hear from Adam Silver. But like those players that I mentioned are guys that I say, yeah, you are process guys. Forever in your history of your career, you will be followed by the process.
If you could bring one process guy back on this team, who would it be?
Jeremy Grant. The way he's turned out, he would look nice here. He would be a perfect fit for them now, the way he plays now. Now, that's hindsight 2020, but I think because he's an elite defender, he can score now, he can shoot an open 3, he would be perfect here.
Would you rather him over Sarge?
Yeah, because the thing about as much as I love the homie, how can you not? You love Dario, and Dario plays hard.
And the thing is, he fits on the court with Embiid.
Yes,
their games, like you had said before, him and Okafor, their games don't mesh.
Didn't work. Yeah,
Saric's game does mesh with Embiid.
Yeah,
like I always thought they made the choice of Okafor over Noel. And I think Noel and Embiid could have worked together. I think they made the wrong decision when they chose
because Noel's just he's around the basket, but he's a guy who wants to catch the ball and dunk it. He's not. You don't have to run.
I'm not bringing him in now.
No, but you don't have to run plays for him. You know, he's a guy that to catch. He's mostly a guy that's going to help you defensively.
So,
but yeah, like when I watch 30-30, those guys I want to hear from.
Yeah,
but that was cathartic. I feel good about that.
It had to happen. Like you said, I don't understand what you don't understand.
Yeah, I can't It's almost like when I talk to people, and they say to me that they weren't a fan of the process, I stop listening immediately afterwards because
it doesn't. You're not
a person. You're not a person I want to talk to because I don't understand how you don't see all of this, and that's why I wanted to go all the way back. So there's no doubt that this had to happen. There was no other course of resolution to this problem of you being mediocre. You're not in life to be mediocre. You're in life to be great. And that's what Sam Hinkie was trying to do. Like, do you think he enjoyed going 10-72 with 300 people in the building? Of course not. No one wants that. But sometimes you have to make sacrifices to get what you want. And that was a sacrifice as a fan for me of who sat through this dreck for all of these years and still am a diehard Sixers fan, even though I sat through, the Dana Barroses and the Willie Parkers and the Tim Perrys and all of that foolishness and the embarrassment the Sixers have been. Like, it's like, honestly, like, I'll be honest with you. Nowadays, it's just new for me to know the Sixers are going to be on TNT and people are talking about us and we have ESPN games. That's new for me. Do you know how long we went from having that stuff? Like, in the Iverson era, yeah. But like I said, I started watching Sixers like 89, 90. After Barkley 92, it was like 8-9 years of nothing. Absolute nothing. And then in the Iverson era, you had those couple years, but then you went back to those desolate periods of nothing. I don't want that. I love the fact that I, going into the season, can be optimistic and truly optimistic that we have a shot to go to the finals. And it's going to be like this for the next 5 to 6 years. And maybe even longer. Who knows? But that is all due to Sam Hinkie. It's Sam Hinkie. Sam Hinkie and Andrew Bynum. I thank those two guys the most.
TTP.
Trust it.
TTP.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little second half Sixers. And then we're going to get out of here. Brad Emery in the morning. Marques, Brad, Justin, Emery. We'll be right back. That felt good. Felt good to get that off my chest. And, I hope out there listening you enjoyed that. And I hope now, if you didn't understand, I hope now you do understand. And I was saying on a break.
And if you don't know,
now you know.
Now you know.
I hope now you not only do you understand, if you're outside the city, you understand. Because inside the city, I think there's just no excuse to not getting it. Outside the city, I can see how maybe it looks a little crazy.
I understand.
Yeah, I don't understand if you lived here and you support this team.
I don't get that.
I don't get that at all. But so let's talk about today's Sixers. Okay, so second half kicks off tomorrow night against the Bulls.
Mm-hmm.
The dangerous Bulls now, you can say.
Nah.
The Bulls are not.
The thing is, the Sixers are so good, nobody worries me.
Well, missing your 2 stars, I get a little worried. This is now right now with the Sixers. I feel like it's an incomplete product because they're going to make a move because they have to make a move. Blake Griffin got bought out. He's now net.
Now, did you hear the reports about Andre Drummond?
I did.
Also joining the Nets.
Joining the Nets, yeah. Here's the thing, and maybe it's just me just being naive. I still don't think that changes them to the point where I'm like, oh, here they come. Because first of all, here's one thing that I think people are missing.
Embiid owns Drummond.
That's true. And we still have not seen Durant, Harden, and Irving work all together. We haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, they've only played 7 games together?
And it didn't work. It wasn't good. They got hot when Harden and Irving went on court together, and then Irving missed a couple games too, and they continued to stay hot with Harden. I need to see all 3 of them together and that work.
Okay, that's fair.
I need to see that.
That's fair.
And I think we're jumping the gun by saying, oh, this is definitely going to work when we haven't seen any signs of that yet. I need to see that. So you're going to get a chance to see that in the second half because Durant will be healthy and they'll see if they can figure it out. But
as long as Kyrie's not having any flat earth kind of days, they'll be fine.
Right. But we know the Sixers are in pretty hot. We don't know what they're going to do. We know they need to do something.
Prince yesterday, when I asked him what his opinions were of the second half, all he said was Daryl Morey. He's got faith in Daryl Morey, and he'll figure it out.
Yeah, I can't argue with that because Daryl Morey hasn't let us down thus far. He's been the best GM since Sam Hinkie. So I do trust Daryl Morey. I trust he's going to figure it out and make something happen. You heard the Kyle Lowrys. You heard Zach LaVine's. I don't know where you are with this. I am now at a point now where, listen, if we have to trade Tyrese Maxey to get something great, do it. Do it.
Yeah,
we need to get a championship.
Yeah, we need
we need chips. So if we have to do that, if we can get if you get rid of Tyrese Maxey and you can put him in a deal and that gets you a Zach LaVine, go do it.
I agree.
Just go do it. I mean, I like the kid, but
and as we mentioned, Furkan and Mike Scott are always available.
Yes,
they're always available.
You can take them whenever you need.
Would you be willing to move Shake for a Zach LaVine?
I don't think so. I wouldn't want to touch Shake because Shake is a great bench piece. Now you're weakening your bench again. I want to strengthen my bench the most. So I don't think Shake's your best guy off the bench.
But then you bump Curry to your bench, and Zach LaVine would start.
I still need another bench piece.
You do, but I'm saying, would you be willing to give up Shake for that? So then now you're looking to improve your bench with the likes of...
So Curry comes off the bench.
Curry comes off the bench.
Thibault.
Dwight Howard, he's obviously your backup center.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I mean...
Would you be... That's what,
yeah, I guess so.
If the upgrade is Zach LaVine...
And LaVine's only... it feels like LaVine's been in the league for 30 years. He's only 25.
Yeah.
Like, LaVine's a guy you can have a piece of this, and then you can have your big 3 with LaVine, Simmons, and Embiid for the next 5 years. So, yeah, I guess you kind of talked me into it a little bit. Uh-oh, what happened?
Nothing. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you kind of talked me into it a little bit, where I think I would be willing to do that, and you get Curry off the bench. I still want another bench piece on top of that. Hopefully, from the buyout market, you can find something that'll help you out.
Then you're looking at your starting 5 of Embiid, Harris, Simmons, LaVine, and probably Danny Green.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that.
I'll put that up against anybody.
I'm in. Yeah, I'm in.
And then off the bench, you have Thibault, Curry, Howard. Further down the bench, you have Maxey, Korkmaz, Joe.
Yeah.
You need to find the guy to sit in that spot between those.
If you're giving me here's my criteria. If you're giving me a young gun like a LaVine, Maxey's got to go. If you're going Lowry on me, I don't want you to put Maxey in that package.
Would you move Maxey and Milton for LaVine?
Yeah, I mean,
you move both of them.
Yeah, it's win now. It's win now, and
Fair.
And the thing is with LaVine's a guy you can have for a while. Like you can have him for 5-6 years. But you can get you can.
I mean, you can the trio. I mean, it won't even be a trio. The quad of
because Thibault's only gonna get better.
I mean, there's your fifth.
He's gonna like Thibault. I eventually think will be a starter for this team, and like he's only gonna get better. Like his
you can run. Well, you can run out Embiid, Harris, Simmons, Levine for the next 5 years.
Right.
Like you can.
Right, and really you could start Thibault in that cluster because you don't have to depend on him to score.
What's he naturally a 3?
Yeah, I would say a 3.
Naturally a 3.
Yeah. So, but Harris plays a 4.
Yeah,
so you're good. So you got Simmons and Levine in the backcourt, Harris and Thibault up front, Simmons in the middle. I mean, Embiid in the middle. There you go. Good to go. So they got to make a move. We know that even they're sitting first. They have a nice record. They got to make a move.
I agree.
For a run, you got to make a move, and I know Daryl Morey knows that. It's just a matter of what's going to be available, what they're going to be able to do.
Buyout market's going to be looking like it's kind of thin.
Yeah.
Gonna have to. When's the trade deadline? Do you know?
Usually I do, but
I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up real quick.
This year's goofy, so I don't know. I'm thinking it has to be a couple weeks because
25th.
Yeah, I did. So we're looking about 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks.
Thursday, two Thursdays.
Yes.
So we'll know something within the next week and a half or so about what's going on with this team. And I would be shocked if a move is not made. I think Daryl Morey sees. And listen,
they need a wing. That's what they need.
Yes.
They need they need a wing. They need.
Like we've talked about before, we don't want to waste these Embiid years.
No.
And you see he's playing like we didn't even get a chance to talk about the Utah game, and like how he single-handedly destroyed their team. Like Utah shoots the ball ridiculous. They shot. I think they hit something like 33s in that game to the Sixers 8. Sixers had no business being in that game. But you know what? When you have the best player on the court, you're going to be competitive. The shot he hits to go to overtime, and then you have Tobias Harris dominating overtime. Embiid gets to that point. The frustration he calls from one of the best defenders in the NBA, Rudy Gobert, and the Jazz seemingly looking like they had complete control of that game, and it all just falls apart. All because of the best player on the court. We don't want to lose. We don't want to look back this year and say we wasted Embiid's MVP year.
Yeah.
This is the year we should have won a chip. I don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. So it's important to get – that's why I've come around on the Maxey situation because as much as I love Tyrese Maxey, I think he's going to be a really good player down the line. We don't have time for down the line. We need to strike now with the iron top.
You can always figure – like Maxey will not be a special generational player. He will be a nice player. He will be a good player. You can find nice and good players down the line.
Yeah. And even if he does turn out to be a really special player, I trust the Sixers drafting, especially late rounds. Like we brought up before, Landry Shamet, Dario Saric was after 10.
TLC.
Tyrese Maxey. Jeremy Grant. Robert Covington.
Well, Rocco was
Rocco was
free agent.
But like all of these guys they've drafted later down the line, they do a really good job in their scouting department. So if that continues, we're going to get another guy like that. So, and besides, even if we don't, we need to win now. Chips. We need chips. We don't have those. I was 3 years old in 1983. I want a Sixers parade. I need that. Hopefully on a boat.
On boat parade. Oh my God, we need a boat parade.
We need a boat parade. Do you have anything else you'd like to add?
No. I mean, I did my deep dive yesterday. Obviously, they haven't played yet, so I can just my basically everything you said. I can echo the same thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, we went over the schedule. We went over the schedule
Yep.
A week ago or so,
Last
and like
week.
that, we've covered that whole April 1st to almost the end of the season. Where
they need to stack some wins.
Yeah, now.
And as I said yesterday, they have a much tougher second half than they do first half.
Yes.
But you know what is comforting to know about that is that you're going into the second half with the number 1 seed.
Yes.
So you're starting at the top.
Yeah, I agree. And you're going to have fans back in the building on Thursday, right? You should have fans.
I
believe
Sunday.
Sunday will be the first fans game?
I think so because I actually think they open on the road, to be honest with you.
So they're at Chicago.
I believe so. Let me pull it up real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, they're at Chicago.
Yeah, you're right.
So their first game back is Sunday against the Spurs, 6:30. They will have fans in the stands.
Nice.
There will be fans in the stands against the Bucks on St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, 17th.
That means there will be some
wild.
That means there'll be some rowdy people in the building.
Yeah, that's gonna be a wild one.
There's gonna be some rowdy people in the building. When let's see, some other home games coming up. They got a lot of road games. Yeah. April 14th, Nets in town, fans in the stands. Clippers the 16th, fans in the stands.
Yeah.
Suns the 21st.
Yeah, you're in the heart where things are getting weird.
Oh yeah.
Schedule's crazy.
Back-to-back home games against the Hawks. They're not ready for that.
So at the end, to just wrap this up, like
Markelle Fultz and the Magic are not ready for this back-to-back.
Well, he's out for the year. He won't be around.
Oh yeah, really? So you almost haven't paid attention to him.
Yeah. So to wrap this up, like we know they're gonna make a move. We're going to sit tight and figure out what that move's gonna be. We'll know by the 25th. And
I'm
hopefully it's something that's gonna put them over the hump.
I want the number 1 seed, but as long as they're the top 2 and they don't draw Brooklyn before the conference finals, I'm okay.
Yes, I want Brooklyn in the conference finals.
Yes,
I want to see the Bucks in the second round.
And you got to assume that if you get the 1 or the 2, the Nets will get the other one.
Yes,
the other position.
Yeah,
you do not want.
Although the Bucks are hot right now, the Bucks playing really well.
I'm still not going to put them above either of those teams, though.
Right.
I do, like I said, I do not want the net. I also don't want the Nets to fall to 3.
No.
I want those two to finish 1 and 2.
Right.
Because I want to see the Nets in the Eastern Conference Finals.
I agree.
I feel like that's the easiest way for them to get. Because there's nobody in the West I'm worried about. Give me 7 against the Nuggets. Give me 7 against the Jazz. Give me 7 against the Lakers.
Right.
Give me 7 against the Clippers. Now, I don't necessarily want 7 against the Trailblazers, but you won't see the Trailblazers,
right.
So it doesn't matter. They won't get there.
Right.
That's what if you can get the 1 or the 2 seed, I feel like they have to be the favorite to win the chip. Maybe not on the sports book, but on the eye test, they got to be the favorite.
I am with you 1,000%. It's going to be a really fun couple of months of Sixers basketball that we deserve and we've earned. Why have we earned that? Because of the process.
Yes.
Brad Memory everywhere. Marques tweeting everywhere.
At Justin Emery Show on Twitter. Also, buy some merchandise at BradandEmeryShow.com.
Until next time, you be with us, you be against us, but you're never going to stop us. Late.